Chapter 8 of Their Yesterdays. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Their Yesterdays by Harold Bellwright. Chapter 8. Life. In childhood, the Master of Life exalts life. A baby in its mother's arms is the fullest expression of divinity. It was Christmas time, that season of the year when, for a brief period, the world permits the children to occupy the place in the affairs and thoughts of men that is theirs by divine right. In the birth of that babe in Bethlehem, the giver of life placed the seal of his highest approval upon childhood and decreed that, until the end of time, babies should be the true rulers of mankind and the lawful heirs of heaven. And it is so that the power of Mary's babe, from his manger cradle throne, has been more potent on earth in the governments of men than the strength of many emperors with their armed hosts. It is written large in nature's laws that mankind should be governed by love of children. The ruling purpose and passion of the race can be, with safety, nothing less than the purpose and passion of all created things, of even the trees and plants, the purpose to reproduce its kind, the passion for its offspring. The world should be ruled by boys and girls. But Mammon has usurped the throne of life. His hosts have trampled the banners of loyal love in the dust. His forces have compelled the rightful rulers of the world to abdicate. But, even as gross materialism has never succeeded in altogether denying divinity, so, for a few days each year, at Christmas time, childhood asserts its claims and compels mankind to render at least a show of homage. Poor, blind, deceived, and betrayed old world, to sow fear of foolish and impotent anarchism that spends its strength in vain railings against governments, while you pay the highest honors and present your choicest favors to those traitors who filch your wealthy young life under pretense of loyal service. The real anarchists, old world, are not those who loudly vociferate to the rabble on the street corners, but those who, operating under the laws of your approval, betray their country in its greatest need, its need of children. The real anarchists, old world, are those whose banners are made red by the blood of babies, who fatten upon the labor of their child slaves, and who seek to rule by the slaughter of children even as that savage of old whose name in history is hated by every lover of the race. Regicides at heart they are, for they kill for a price the God-ordained rulers of mankind. A child is nearer by many years to God than the grown-up rebel who traitorously holds his own mean interest superior to the holy will of life as vested in the sacred person of a boy or girl. To prate, in empty swelling words, of the sacredness of life, the power of religion, the dignity of state, the importance of commercial interests and the natural wealth of the nation, while ignoring the sacredness, power, dignity, importance, and wealth of childhood, is evidence of a criminal thoughtlessness. Children and life are one. They are the product, the producers, and the preservers of life. They exalt life. They interpret life. Without them, life has no meaning. The child is no more the possession of its parents than the parents are the property of the child. Children are the just creditors of the human race. Mankind owes them everything. They owe mankind nothing. A baby has no debts. Nor is the passion for children satisfied only in bearing them. A woman who does not love all babies is unsafe to trust with one of her own flesh. A man who does not love all children is unfit to father offspring of his own blood. One need not die to orphan a child. One need only refuse to care for it. One need only place other interests first. Men and women who desire to become parents will not go unsatisfied in a world that is so full of boys and girls, for whom there are neither fathers nor mothers. The Master of Life said, "Except ye become as little children." His false disciple, world, teaches, "Except ye become grown up." But the laws of life are irrevocable. If a man, heeding the world, grows up to possess the earth, his holdings at the last are reduced, if he be one of earth's big men, to 6 feet of it only, while the man who never grows up inherits a heaven that the false kings of earth know not. When the man left his work at close of the day before Christmas, he was as eager as he had been that Saturday when he faced the crisis of his life. With every sense keenly alive, he plunged into the throng of belated shoppers that filled the streets and crowded into the gaily decked stores until it overflowed into the streets again. Nearly everyone was carrying bundles and packages, for it was too late now to depend upon the overworked delivery wagons. In almost every face the Christmas gladness shone. In nearly every voice there was that spirit of fellowship and cheery goodwill that is invoked by Christmas thoughts and plans. Through the struggling but good-natured crowd, the man worked his way into a store and, when he forced his way out again, his arms, too, were full. For a moment he waited on the corner for a car, then, with a look of smiling dismay at the number of people who were also waiting, he turned away, determined to walk. He felt, too, that the exercise in the keen air would be a relief to the buoyant strength and gladness that clamored for expression. As he swung so easily along the snowy pavement, with the strength of his splendid manhood revealed in his every movement, and the cleanness of his heart and mind illuminating his countenance, there were many among those he met who, while they smiled in sympathy with his spirit, passed from their smiles to half sighs of envy and regret. With the impatient haste of a boy, the man dashed up the steps of his boarding house and ran upstairs to his room, chuckling in triumph over his escape from the watchful eyes of the little daughter of the house. For the first time since his boyhood, the man was to have the blessed privilege of sharing the Christmas cheer of a home. When the evening meal was over and it was time for his little playmate to go to sleep, he retired again to his room, almost as excited in his eager impatience for the morning as the child herself. Safe behind his closed door, he began to unwrap his Christmas packages and parcels, that he might inspect again his purchases and taste, by anticipation, the pleasure he would know when on the morrow the child would discover his gifts. Very carefully he cut the strings from the last and largest package and, tenderly removing the wrappings, revealed a doll almost as tall as the little girl herself. It was as large, at least, as a real flesh-and-blood baby. The wifeless, homeless man who has never purchased a doll for some little child mother has missed an educational experience of more value than many of the things that are put in textbooks to make men wise. Rather awkwardly, the man held the big doll in his arms, smoothing his dress and watching the eyes that opened and closed so lifelike. Cautiously he felt for and found that vital spot, which if pressed brought forth a startling, "Papa! Mama!" As the dear familiar words of childhood sounded in the lonely bachelor room, the man felt a queer something grip his heart. Tenderly he laid the doll upon his big bed and stood for a little looking down upon it, a half-serious, half-whimsical expression on his face, but in his eyes a tender light. Then, adjusting his reading lamp, he seated himself and attempted to busy his strangely disturbed mind with a book. But the sentences were meaningless. At every period, his eyes turned to that little figure on the bed, with its too lifelike face and hair and form, while the thoughts of the author he was trying to read were crowded out by other thoughts that forced themselves upon him, with a persistency and strength that would not be denied. The weeks following the testing on the man had been to him very wonderful weeks. He seemed to be living in a new world, or, rather, for him, the same old world was wonderfully enriched and glorified. Never had he felt his manhood strength stirring so within him. Never had his mind been so alert, his spirit so bold. He moved among men with a new power that was felt by all who came in touch with him, though no one knew what it was. He was conscious of a fuller mastery of his work, a clearer grasp of the world's events. As one, climbing in the mountains, reaches a point higher than he has ever before attained, and gains thus a wider view of the path he has traveled, of the surrounding country, and of the peak that is the object of his climb as well. So this man, in his life climb, had reached a higher point, and therefore gained a wider outlook. It is only when men stay in the lowlands of self-interest, or abide in the swamps of self-indulgence that their views of life are narrowly circumscribed. Let a man master himself but once, and he stands on higher ground,